Hey Astro Kids, and welcome back. And in today's video, we'll be talking about Saturn in the sign of Sagittarius. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. So before we start, just a few quick disclaimers. In this video, I am using Vedic sidereal astrology, so make sure that you have the correct position for this video. It's also important to understand, are there any conjunctions or aspects to Saturn in your chart? This will definitely have an influence over the result of Saturn here in Sagittarius. You also want to understand, what house is Saturn positioned in, and which houses does Saturn have rulership over? So you want to check to see where is Capricorn and where is Aquarius in your chart. And of course, I've done a whole series on Saturn through the 12 houses. So if you have not seen that series, make sure to check that out. I will leave a link for that above and down below in the description. It's also important to understand the activation of Saturn in your chart. So there are specific moments where Saturn becomes active in our natal charts. And the most important one is during a Dasha period. So if you have not seen my video on the Saturn Mahadasha Bhuktis, make sure to check out that video. I will leave that again above and down below in the description. You also want to see, are there any transits to Saturn in your chart? So when planets are transiting over Saturn, that will definitely have an influence in your life as well. Along with this, you want to see the Sati period. So Sati is when the transiting Saturn is 12th, 1st, or 2nd from your natal moon. This will be a significant moment where Saturn will have an influence over your life. Saturn also has times where it matures in our life as well. So around the age of 29 is when Saturn's lessons become more clear to us. This is where there's a lot of karmic work and lessons to be learned. The age of 36 is also where Saturn fully matures. So from the age of 35 and onwards is where the karmic lessons of Saturn start to get easier. We start to understand how to navigate those karmic lessons properly. You also want to see, is there any additional karma that is attached to your natal Saturn? So is Saturn retrograde in your chart? If so, then there's definitely going to be some extra karma that's going to tag along with Saturn. And specifically, it will show up in those people who are represented by Saturn in your life. You also want to see, is Saturn in a combustion? Saturn in a combustion will also bring in karmic issues as well, particularly in the houses that are ruled over by Saturn. So again, you want to check to see, where is Capricorn and Aquarius in your natal chart. You also want to see the Chara Karaka. So this is coming from the Gemini system of astrology. We have the regular Karaka significance of Saturn, but also in the Gemini system, Saturn can represent something else. So you want to see which Karaka is Saturn in your birth chart. You also want to see, is Saturn in a Papkartara yoga? If so, then it'll be difficult for some of the results of Saturn to manifest in your life. This is when there are malefics that are hemming in Saturn from either side in your natal chart. Another concept that you want to see are the aspects of Saturn. So Saturn will always give a third aspect, and the third aspect always shows a challenge area in our lives. This is where a lot of conflict and obstacles can take place. And for that, we have a lot of work, a lot of effort to put in that area. The seventh aspect of any planet is a mirror effect. It shows the desire reflected into the opposite house. So Saturn will also influence the house that is directly opposite to itself. And the last aspect of Saturn is the 10th aspect, which shows the final result, the final karmas manifesting from Saturn in your chart. So this is where the most action will take place for Saturn's position. Another concept to see is, where is Saturn in relationship to its home sign? So you want to see this particularly from the sign of Aquarius, the office sign of Saturn, but you can also see it from Capricorn as well. The next important thing to consider is, how do you interpret Saturn through the sign of Sagittarius or through any sign in your birth chart? Well, many of you are familiar with your birth chart, which is your D1 Rashi chart. That's a very important position to see how Saturn is placed. But you also want to see, where is Saturn from your moon sign as well. Along with this, the most important positions of Saturn to see are in the D9 Navamsa and in the D60 Shasti Amsa chart. These will show you very clearly how Saturn will manifest in your life, how it will mature, how the final results of Saturn will be manifested. So even if Saturn is in a difficult position in your natal chart, you want to see where is it in the D9 and in the D60. The D9 will definitely show how Saturn will mature in your life. So if Saturn is in a difficult position in the D1, but it's in a better position in the D9, then Saturn will improve with time. The D60 is going to give the final say of how Saturn will function as well. Another concept is to see Saturn in the D10 chart because Saturn represents hard work. So the D10, which is all about our career, our status, the actions that we perform in the public, can also indicate Saturn as well. So let's talk about some remedial measures that are related to Saturn. Saturn is all about sacrifice, commitment, service. And so when you are selfless, when you are helpful to those in need, particularly older people, sick people, underprivileged people, this is all represented by Saturn. So when you help those in need, this will help to strengthen Saturn in your chart. With Saturn, it's also important to be humble and ethical in all of your actions. Another remedy of Saturn is to clean your bathroom because Saturn has rulership over the bathroom as well. And one of the strongest remedies of Saturn is to feed crows because Saturn is associated with death and cemeteries and is often depicted as riding on a crow or on a vulture. So this is an excellent remedy as well. So let's talk about Saturn in Sagittarius. And to understand this, we really have to understand what does Saturn represent and what does Sagittarius represent and what happens when these two come together. Well, in a way, Saturn in Sagittarius is a very neutral position of Saturn because Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. So Saturn's not completely comfortable in the home sign of Jupiter, but at the same time, there are some things that are in common with Saturn and Sagittarius, and this can be a very promising position to have. Saturn represents delays, obstacles, restrictions, discipline, our organizational skills, hard work. Saturn is all about maturity. It wants to see us put in the work, to put in the dedication, to be persistent. Saturn is also about social welfare, about justice. It wants to bring fairness and balance to the world. It is all about helping the underprivileged, helping those in need. Saturn is also related to the past. It is connected with history. Along with this, Saturn represents our spiritual journey, particularly at an older age. At a younger age, Saturn tends to test us more, where we have a lot of work, a lot of maturity, a lot of lessons to learn within our lives. So Saturn tends to give the most obstacles, delays, and fears wherever Saturn is placed within your natal chart, particularly at a younger age. Sagittarius represents our higher belief system. It represents our higher education, our principles in life. It is all about taking the higher path, aiming for something higher, believing in something greater than yourself. Sagittarius is all about the laws. It is all about preaching, teaching, influencing people. Again, it is about this higher path in life, the greater principles, morality, having the strongest ethics and morals in life. Sagittarius is also a sign of travel. It is a natural wanderer. It wants to learn, wants to adventure, wants to broaden its horizons. So Sagittarius is how we learn and grow in life. Sagittarius is a highly spiritual sign, very religious, very much, again, about this higher belief, this higher purpose in life. So Sagittarius does very well with Saturn in the sense that they are both about being spiritual and being ethical in our actions. Saturn in Sagittarius definitely is a person who wants to bring about balance into the world through their belief system. And Saturn and Sagittarius can make an individual very intelligent, very wise. They have a wealth of knowledge. They make excellent teachers, philosophers, people who can really influence others through their belief system. Saturn and Sagittarius people are always seeking deeper truth in life. They're not interested in anything at the surface level. They can be highly spiritual, religious people, all about following spirituality with discipline and purpose. Saturn in Sagittarius can make an excellent teacher, lecturer, professor, someone who, again, is able to deliver this knowledge, this wisdom to other people. They tend to be very articulate, excellent speakers. And Saturn and Sagittarius can make a person interested in the esoteric and the occult, the mystical side of life. Again, it becomes all about seeking this deeper truth in life. And for some with Saturn and Sagittarius, this could even be a part of their career as well. You can make a great teacher, lecturer, preacher, someone who is able to share this belief system from a platform, from your career pursuits. And because Sagittarius is naturally a sign that wants to learn, wants to travel, wants to experience more in life, to broaden those horizons, typically Saturn and Sagittarius people have a lot of experience and wisdom that they gain throughout their life, which makes them excellent teachers for others. And this is particularly true at an older age because Saturn represents old age also. So at an early age, there could be difficulties, delays in actually developing that philosophy, developing that belief system. But the older you get, the more that you're able to tap into this deep wisdom. One of the things about Saturn in Sagittarius is that it's going to test you to make sure that you're following those higher principles. It wants you to be completely devoted to your belief system, to your philosophy in life. So let's talk about what happens when Saturn comes into Mula Nakshatra, which extends from 0 degrees till 13 degrees 20 minutes of Sagittarius. Mula is the root star. It is all about uprooting things. It is all about getting deep to the truth, getting down into things, really understanding the true essence behind everything. It is a natural nakshatra of research, of exploration, of wanting to dive into the deep spiritual knowledge and mysteries of life. And so naturally, Saturn in Mula is going to make you want to explore more about yourself, more about your existence, more about your belief system, more of wanting to seek out the greater truth in life. This makes you a natural explorer. You are constantly questioning what is the true meaning behind everything. This could get you interested in history and philosophy and really wanting to dig for answers in these deeper subjects. Sometimes Saturn and Mula people could also make mistakes in life because Mula is a very destructive energy as well. But through this, you learn from those mistakes, and this allows you, again, to tap into that deeper wisdom. It makes you a natural teacher of this knowledge and experience that you collect throughout your life. So let's talk about Saturn and Purva Ashada. Purva Ashada is all about devotion. It is all about purity, and it is a very transformative energy. Purva Ashada is naturally about spirituality and religion, about higher knowledge, about travel, about really wanting to expand and to learn more in life. It is a very deep position of Sagittarius. Purva Ashadas are the natural philosophers of the zodiac. So this is definitely a position that's going to get you into really wanting to get into spirituality and religion, to devote yourself, to even make sacrifices for your belief system. You are willing to sacrifice everything for what you believe in. You are willing to stand up for what you believe in. This becomes extremely important to you. And you become really devoted in your beliefs, in the things that are important to you. You have huge commitment with this position. With Saturn and Purva Ashada, because Purva Ashada is also ruled over by Venus and Jupiter, it shows this duality between the physical, the material side of life, and the spiritual. So definitely with Saturn and Purva Ashada, this could give some temptations also at times. And this is definitely going to test you to make sure that all of your actions are pure and ethical. So the more that you're pure in your actions, the more that you're putting forth these efforts that are coming from a pure place, this is going to bring more success in your life. So let's talk about Saturn and Uttara Ashada. And Uttara Ashada begins from 26 degrees, 40 minutes of Sagittarius, and then dips into the first 10 degrees of Capricorn. So we will talk a little bit about Antardasha here, but also we'll talk more about the Capricorn side in the next video. So Antardasha is represented by the planks of a bed. It represents going through tremendous struggle and sacrifice in order to achieve success in life. So Antardasha can even show a rags to riches story, putting in the hard work, the effort, the discipline, the commitment to rise to the top. Antardasha is definitely about taking on a leadership position, about being authoritative, about having an influence over others, really making a difference in the world, being of service. And on the Sagittarius side, it shows this through a spiritual pursuit. So, especially Saturn and Antardasha on the spiritual side is all about taking leadership in a spiritual sense, becoming a spiritual leader, becoming someone who is able to take your wisdom and knowledge to influence others. But because Antardasha is about gaining that success by overcoming obstacles, challenges, putting in commitment, hard work, dedication, making those sacrifices, it can show that you go through a bit of difficulty early on in life, that you feel ridiculed, you feel put down by others, you're constantly facing obstacles, humiliation, feeling like other people are making you smaller, facing bullies in life. And this eventually allows you to rise to that position of leadership and authority. You are seeking that respect. You are seeking that position of authority based upon all of the effort that you have put in and all of the struggle that you have gone through. But this is an excellent position for philosophers, for spiritual leaders, for philanthropists, for leaders of organizations and groups that can make a difference within society.